I'm going to share my salary progression from my senior year in high school to my senior year in college with the jobs that I had, income earned, and the hours I worked to get that pay. Why, hello, my yellow groupers. I'm Carly, a finance grad, creator of Best Money Class Ever, where I teach how to pay off debt in 36 months or less, invest to retire a millionaire, and stress less about money. Grab a seat. I'm about to spill the financial tea. You ready for it? This is a part of my 0 to 1 million journey series. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of my income, my expenses, my net worth updates. Last week, I shared my debt story from college. I went through year by year, semester by semester, exactly how much I borrowed with my student loans. And I'm going to share this week my income. Let's go take a look at it. One of my favorite quotes is from Mark Twain. It is, "The secret to getting ahead is getting started." I did start working. Earning my own income was super important to me, and that really changed the game. Let's take a look. You are not going to believe how much that I actually earned as a college student. I'll share with you the numbers starting from my senior year in high school, going through year by year. And I am 40. At the end of this video, I'll share for inflation adjusted dollars to give a picture of what that was. And if you've ever been stuck and not able to create a budget because you don't know how much you earn and your income varies from month to month, maybe you're freelancer or contract work, you might lose your hours, I will share with you a hack on how to plan your income and get organized with that. My senior year in high school, I had 4 different sources of income. So we'll take it from the top. The first one was I was a professional babysitter. I worked at my church's nursery, and I call myself a professional babysitter because they required you to do like the CPR certification and all that. At the time, I was getting paid over $9 an hour, which was pretty snazzy back then. I worked at the church's nursery, so it was on Sundays, sometimes Saturdays. I'd say on average, it was just 3, maybe 4 hours a week, pretty low key. I would estimate in a year, I probably did maybe 60 hours earning $9 an hour. That would be about $540 earned. I also was a babysitter for families, and the going rate back then was much lower. I would say on average I probably earned about $7 an hour. This is an estimation, but let's just say I did about 10 babysitting gigs for 3 hours each, earning $7, so I earned about $210. I reffed soccer games. I was a lineswoman and a center ref for the little bitty kids league, and at the time I would assume it varied based on which level you refed, but on average we'll say about $15 for a 1-hour game. During soccer season, over a period of about 3 months, I worked about 3 games per weekend and earned, we'll say, about $540. The third job I had a senior year in high school was I was a waitress. This was the spring semester of my senior year. I worked at Don Pablo's, a Tex-Mex restaurant, and I did probably just weekend shifts like Friday night and then Saturdays. Over 12 weeks, we'll estimate I probably did about 2 5-hour shifts, earned at least $45 in tips for those shifts. So I earned over $1,000 from waitressing. The fourth job that I had was I did direct sales. I, as an 18-year-old, over my summer drove all the way across the country to Fargo, North Dakota for a direct sales, as in face-to-face, but pretty much door-to-door summer internship. I would wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning and go to a breakfast spot every morning to do positive reading and track my stats, and then I'd hit the doors. I'd work literally over 80 hours a week. So over about 12 weeks, I had a net commission of $5,693. If you do the math, though, that was pretty much like minimum wage for the amount of hours that I put in. All in all, throughout my senior year in high school, I earned over $8,000. In college, I did not work each semester. I was able to do double time, overtime in the summers, and then enjoy my student life. And then that sophomore summer, I drove across the country and did direct sales again. And it was in upstate New York. It was New Paltz, New York. And that summer, my sales improved. I had a commission of $8,176. If you still do the math though for the hours worked, it was about $7.30 on average. That was the summer I actually got bit by a tick and got Lyme disease. I ended up having to take off my fall semester. With Lyme disease, my symptoms were extreme fatigue and exhaustion. So I did go back to school the spring semester. And then that summer, I wanted to do direct sales, but obviously just working 80 hours a week was not really a good move. So I ended up doing an office manager role where I still work, but it was a lot less intense. It was an office manager for a home security business, and it was direct sales. There were salespeople, but instead of doing the sales, I did the office manager position. Now, my records are a little bit fuzzy on this. I don't remember. I think it was an hourly rate. What I do have here is some paychecks, and I have a couple paychecks. It was $622, and then another paycheck was $536.68. And I think if I had to guess, I earned probably like $14-ish an hour and worked about 40 hours a week each week over the summer. So let's see, 14 times 40 would be 560. Then there's tax, and then let's say I worked about 12 weeks. So we can say I earned about $6,720 that sophomore year. In college, I studied finance. I was always interested in finance. I always was also interested in education, and I felt like there needed to be education reform. A lot of things that you learn in school you don't actually use, and I wanted to make a difference and impact. I didn't know in what capacity at that time. However, in college, I did do an internship at an education agency. I got a stipend for about $500 for that internship. My junior year in college, things really took a turn. My health improved, and I ended up doing a summer sales internship again, and it was selling home security systems. And this is where things really clicked, and you're not going to believe it. But I ended up working in Denver doing direct sales and was doing pretty well. And then they had what was called an extension program. And so I ended up extending my summer internship, and I actually took off a semester, which was going to be my senior semester. I worked outside of San Francisco in a town called Santa Rosa. It was essentially over about 5 months of working. I earned $63,000 as a college student. Not too shabby. And then if you watch my last video though, that's where I got a case of lifestyle inflation. I ended up buying a car, which I was supposed to have a car bonus for $500, but that company went bankrupt, and then I was on the hook and I had a car loan. So you can check out the details of that. Then for my senior year, I returned for the spring semester. And then that summer, I still had an additional semester because I took off a semester for the internship and also off a semester because I had Lyme disease. I ended up working for a different home security company called Pinnacle Security. And that summer, I worked less. I didn't work 5 months. I only worked 3 months. I earned just over $47,000. Now, with both of these incomes, that is actually the income. I didn't have to pay for the expenses. My summer housing was actually paid for, so my apartment and all of that, I just had regular day-to-day expenses like you would as a college student. Like I gotta get groceries, put gas in my car, that kind of thing. Let's take a look at what that income is in today's dollars. For example, my senior year in high school, I earned $9 an hour as a babysitter. And so that was actually 2004. In today's dollars, that was about 1581. Not too bad. All in all though, my senior year in high school with the waitressing, the reffing soccer games and babysitting, and my direct sales summer internship, I earned over $8,000. In today's dollars, that would have the same buying power as $14,049. The next year, I did not work babysitting, reffing, waitressing during the school year. I did just work the summer internship, and that was in 2005. Let's see what that was in today's dollars. So that was my commission was 8,176. That had less buying power because because it was a year later, it was $13,944. The following semester, I took off and then I did an office manager job. The following year, I earned as an office manager about $6,720. So in 2007, that would have the same earning power as about 11,000 in today's dollars. I did have the $500 stipend for an internship, and that was about $820 in today's dollars. And then the next summer, when things really clicked, and I did a 5-month internship of direct sales, earning over $63,000. That was 2007. That has the same earning power in today's dollars, 97,493, which was a lot. So the following summer, I earned $47,000. That was in 2008. So in today's dollars, that would be $72,000. And I earned that legit in a summer, like 3 months. What happens next is I did graduate with a finance degree when the entire financial market completely crashed. So I was kind of back at square one and didn't really know exactly what to do. So I ended up talking to my finance professor, and she said, well, hey, Carly, you know how the home security industry works. You did pretty well. Why don't you go out and start your own company doing that? I couldn't really think of a reason why not. The one thing was who's going to do the installs. So I ended up rolling up my sleeves and trained myself to install home security systems. I did go from college student to entrepreneur, selling and now installing home security systems door to door. I will be sharing in the 0 to 1 million series. I want to show you kind of behind the scenes of what I actually saved and invested during college, and then my income with the home security business and expenses going forward. The income and revenue with my home security business was completely different. It wasn't commission. It was calculated different, and then I actually had the expenses associated with that. So I personally cash flowed the business and would buy like the home security panels and motion detectors and all of that. So let me know if you want me, how much you want me to get into the weeds of like the business expenses with that business. I'd love to hear if you're curious. As a little bit of a spoiler, I really focused on getting my finances together in my 20s, paying off the debt, investing as much, having that emergency fund. And then in my 30s, things sort of shifted and I had more of a work optional without the classic definition of early retirement. I fully believe that if anyone gives 3, 5+ years to be intentional, you can have a ton of freedoms. And so in my 30s, I sold everything that I had, and then I bought an RV with an SUV to pull it. I spent a month in Hawaii doing a sabbatical. And then I had, I guess, what you would kind of consider like a barista fire, where I had savings, and then I would also do like part-time fun jobs. And then obviously I have Best Money Class Ever, which is my passion project. And so I'll be sharing you behind the scenes and the journey of all of that. So if you're curious of like how much does RV life cost and all the things, make sure and follow along. And that was my wild salary progression from my senior year in high school to my senior year in college. Totally not normal, a little bit of an outlier. I hope though that you learn a few things. That I shared last week my mistakes with my college debt, and I am proud, however, though, that I did, aside from the car, live mostly like a student. If you're in Austin, Texas, I lived on Riverside Drive, which was at the time very like a little bit of the hood, let's say. Everything else was pretty low key, and so I was able to hit the ground running when it comes to saving. Now, a lot of times people don't know which order to tackle. Like, okay, if you start making money, should you pay off the debt or should you invest? And then that's where I then created the finance plan, which is the name of this show. As a finance grad, I also want you to become chief financial officer and manage your money like a boss. And doing a revenue analysis will help. Since this was my salary progression, I wanted to talk about income. If you've been stuck with creating a budget, not really knowing how to start because your income varies, maybe you have freelance work, maybe you're sales and commission, maybe you have hourly works and your shifts get cut, or you have a full-time job with side hustles here and there, or maybe even just something as simple as getting paid bi-weekly, where some months you get that extra bonus paycheck and other months you don't. And everything just feels kind of overwhelming that you don't actually get a grip on your earning power to plan and make a budget. If that sounds like you, then I want you to do what I call a revenue analysis. What this is it's looking at the different sources of income that you earn, the deductions that you're making. So of course there's Social Security tax and federal taxes, but we also want to look like, are you automatically starting the finance plan? Which step one is to save 10%. So you want to look at your 401k contributions. You also want to get familiar with that pay schedule, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, or hourly, and have a plan so you can gain control of your life and money. If you want to use the exact tools that I do, I have a financial day planner. It's a day planner and financial plan in one. How it works is you'll get short, quick videos. You'll learn exactly how to become that CFO, and you'll have an average Joe example along the way. In the financial day planner, it includes a revenue analysis spreadsheet. And then there's a ton more. You'll see exactly how to get out of debt within 36 months or less, when you can become work optional with the retirement calculator. Of course, there's monthly budgets and annual reports of all your spending. Right now, it's on sale. It's only $29, so try it out. I am here to hype you up. Now it is time for a best money class ever win. This one is for you if you're like, oh, I don't want to look at my income or expenses or debt or any of that. This shows that looking at where you stand with money can bring you in more money and really make a difference. This one is from Kelly. Kelly was a Best Money Class Ever student. She filled in her financial statements. She did her balance sheet to see exactly where she stands with her assets and liabilities. She created a budget she could automate with her income statement and then tracked it with her cash flow. And then, of course, like we're talking about today, looking at the revenue analysis. When she had the big picture of her financials, she realized, okay, something's got to give. And that motivated her to make a change. And what she did is she asked for a raise. Here's what she said. Very simply put, she said, hey, Carly, yes, I asked because I realized I needed to bring in more money to get to our goals faster. So imagine looking at your finances, then just getting basic training on how to negotiate. And here is what happened with her. She went from earning $71,479 to $79,040. That is a raise of $7,560. If you're on a mission to pay off debt, you want to invest more, imagine just boom, having that $7,500 extra cash to put your money to work for you. If she can do it, so can you. Get started with your own revenue analysis right now. I am really curious and would love to hear from you. What has been your salary progression? Let me know. Spill your financial tea in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. Thank you so much, my yellow groupers, for listening. Every show has a dope name that they call their listeners. I'm calling you my yellow groupers. We have slow starts. We get behind. The cards are stacked against us. The hands we are dealt are not ideal. But we don't ever give up. That is where our grit is born, and we turn things around. Our trials and adversities make us stronger. I hope you take a look at your salary progression. If you've been meaning to get your finances in order, now's the time, and this is the best place to start. Here, you'll overcome analysis paralysis with the finance plan. This is the roadmap you've been looking for to pay off debt and invest, even if you are living paycheck to paycheck and have no idea where to start. Did you like this episode? Make sure to like it and subscribe, and share it with your friends who also geek out over personal finance. Leave me a 5-star review wherever you're listening. It really helps others who are on a mission to pay off debt and invest find this show. Best Money Class Ever, my signature live and virtual 4-week personal finance class starts soon. Want in? You can take the intro for free. Head on over to bestmoneyclassever.com or the link below and save your spot. You'll instantly get a 20-page downloadable where you can start the finance plan. As always, remember you only live once. Be smart with your money now. I will catch you later. Bye.